Hello. So today I'll be talking about SPY, which is an ETF, and I'm sure we know already that SPY is one of the most popular funds that aims, to track the, S&P 500, index, which comprises of 500 large and mid-cap US stocks, right? So I'm just, checking around. You can get to see and looking around, you can get to see that the S&P 500 stocks, right? SPY is actually the biggest, and you can get to see that it is a well diversified basket of assets which allocates its funds into multiple sectors such as 21.30% information technology, 15% approximately healthcare, 14% approximately financial services and communication services, industrials, consumer defense, consumer cyclical, utilities, and real estate, right? So SPY is actually very, very great. It's a very, very, one of the biggest, companies, right? So if you check on ETF.com, you can get to see actually that there's some very good information here that might interest you, right? So SPY is actually the best recognized and oldest US listed ETF, and it typically, tops, rankings for largest AUM and, greatest trading volume, and the fund tracks the massively popular, US index. So now you can get a see right here that the average daily volume is actually about $19.70 billion dollars. So that is just the average daily volume what people get to trade on this particular, group of instruments, and you can see that the assets under management is actually $280 billion dollars. So that's why I say that the American market is quite lucrative because there's a whole lot of money pumped into that you know trading system. So to 1 second, let me just show you some other things that might interest you. So here is a chart, right? For this pie chart and performance for a couple of times, right? So here's for 1 month, but now I only clicked on for 1 year. You can get to see that due to the situation in the world, there's a massive drawdown, but it's actually picking up because the government has been trying to put in some funds into uh, the system, the trading system, and so on. So everything is coming up right again, and you can get to see that for 1 month negative 4.58%. In 3 months you can see 3.81, 1.71, in 1 year you can see 10.32%, 3 years 11%, 5 years 12.96%, and in 10 years approximately 13.37%. And that is just for SPY and AV, and that's for SPY, I mean. So let's take a look at, for example, for 5 years. So if you get a click on for 5 years, you can get to see that the chart is actually quite promising as well. It's actually not bad. So due to the situation, there was a drawdown when the whole thing happened all over the world. And if you click on for the max, you can get to see that it's actually gonna be better, right? So this is actually a recap of what the SPY really is. And if you take a look at some of the companies right under this, you can get to see that it's into technology, like I said before. You can see um, some of the companies right under SPY. You can get to see Apple Incorporated, Microsoft Corporation, Amazon, which this company is actually one of the biggest companies you might have ever heard of, especially Apple, Amazon, Facebook, J&J, and so on. So now, if you check, for example, now you can see the max here. You can see that for the max, it's actually really, 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 really great. So what are you waiting for? I think it's a good thing to key into, trading SPY and some of the instruments under this. So I'll be talking about one of the instruments here, which is actually Apple, right? So if you take a look at Apple, for example, Apple Incorporated, we all know that it's a company in the US stock market, and it is a holding in 280 US traded ETFs, right? So we all know that it has approximately around 1.1 billion shares in the US ETF market. So it's actually really big, and you can get to see that, like what I just said, you can see that it's under this biggest holding SPY, right? So let's come and take a look at some of the ETFs with the most Apple exposure, right? You can get to see some of them. You can see that this is Direction Daily Technology, Bull 3X shares. You can see 25.19%. So these are a list of companies you can actually trade on that has a form of an affiliate with Apple, right? You can get to see the ticker name right here. You can just search and read about them. You can see iShares, US Technology ETF. You can see 20%. You can see, and you can get a check. You see, this is SPY right here. So um, you can take your time and go through some of this. If you decide, if you think you want to, you can just check some of these companies. If you like them, you can just invest in them, right? So now, when I checked investing.com, right, actually saw something quite similar to what I saw at ETF.com, and it is actually good as well. So you can see that the chart is actually quite good, not bad. And if you see, for example, this is let me just check the max, for example. You can see, like the other one, you can see it's actually really good as well. So it's something you should key into. And you can see that the open price was actually 322, and then it previously closed at 323.5. And the volume is actually 71,069 approximately. And like the market cap I said before, you can get a C. And you can see one other thing that is really good is this, right? The dividend yield is actually 1.166%, right? So, and the dividends is actually 4.06%. So this is dividend yield, and these are the dividends they pay. So 4.0, 3%, which is actually, a really good one. So you can get a check the next time they're going to pay dividends. You can invest in this, and you still get dividends, for this particular, you know, ETFs you're going to trade in. So if you take a look at also the chart, I mean, we've taken a look at the chart. If you check the news and analysis, if you check the technical on the forum, you get to see that SPY is actually very, very good ETF you should actually key into and invest in, and I'm sure you will not actually regret it. And you can get to see, based on the SPY performance, you can see with a 5-star Morningstar rating, SPY's return have beat the average return of other large blend funds in the past decade. Right, so the SPDR S&P 500 ETF Trust SPY has generated an average 3-year return of 6.23%. So if you have this, your money is rest assured that you're not losing anything out of it. And based on the trailing 10-year data, the fund generated over annual returns of 11.04% since the interception of SPDR and the S&P 500 ETF Trust. So the fund achieved average annual returns of 8.93%, which is really good. So you can take your time and read about it more if you want. But these are the key points you should take a look at. That is really good, and I'm sure for this smart investors, SPY is one of the things you should really, really, really look into, because people are really trading it, and they're really, making, you know, their money over time. And you can also pay attention to Amazon Incorporated. You can pay attention to Facebook, because they are also very big. J&J, depending on what you prefer, you can decide to go. You can even decide, as long as you have the money, or you can decide to go and trade in, almost everything, because the sky is the limit, what they say, right? So you can decide to trade on everything, but the idea is just for you to understand that companies on the SPY is actually, I mean, the top 10 holdings are actually quite really good. I can see that Apple initially has the biggest percent, which is actually 6.45%. So in case you are looking for what to trade on, SPY is a good deal for you. Just take your time. You can go with Apple or any of these ones here, and I'm sure you will not regret them. And if you come here, you can get to see the daily speed, you can get to see the premium discount, you can see the volume, and you can just see how everything is been listed here. And I'm sure you'll be quite impressed, right? So, should you have any questions, please just feel free to um, drop your questions in the comment section.